Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and we are here for Deep Astrology, which is, of course, my show where I take all of the astrology and go deeper and deeper into all the layers of what's going on. And this is for the week of July the 31st through August the 6th of 2018. Now, of course, on this show, I like to talk, and then we go into the charts. And this talk's going to be a little different than usual. One is because as I look at the astrology, this is testing our positive energy more than ever. In all the charts I've looked at in my whole life, especially as a horoscope astrologer, what a test. That's what I can definitely say when it comes to finding happiness in life. It's the sun in Leo. It's North Node in Leo. We're not going to see these two aspects together for another 17 to 18 years, right? Because the North and South nodes are on an 18-year cycle. And this is this last Leo season of really where the universe is asking us to aim, which is to find happiness. But when you look at everything around the astrology right now, it's all those things as an astrologer, or even I'm sure as you are as an astrology fan, you start doing the checklist of the things that are difficult or hard, and it's a long fucking list. Literally, you can start from Mars squaring Uranus, but not only is it just Mars square Uranus this week, it's a Mars retrograde on the South Node squaring Uranus. Uranus this week is going stationary because on the 7th it goes stationary retrograde. So Uranus is stopping. Mercury is retrograde. Pluto's retrograde. Neptune's retrograde. Really, we look around and it's like retrograde city. And when you have all these planets retrograde and you have all these difficult aspects, to find happiness and to find your courage and to find your positivity and to stay positive without going cold and to not feel like you're losing some difficult battle in life is definitely not easy. I will be real. But on this channel, I am all about promoting positivity, but of course, realizing that there is some very harsh aspects out there. And yes, there is no eclipse this week. Thank God. But next week there is. So, it's kind of like, we get these eclipses and then a week off, and in the week that's off, it's like a huge amount of crazy energy still going on. And then that builds up to another eclipse. And so this period in between eclipses, I've always called as kind of the most intense. Usually the eclipse is the end of it. So you think sometimes the eclipse is the actual moment, but it's usually these in-between eclipses that are the craziest because it's the buildup of an eclipse. And in this position, we're on the waning part of the moon. The good news this week is the moon is coming through signs where there's really not a lot of planets at all. Or, it's pretty desolate except for Uranus. We also are going to have a quarter square of the moon this week. The moon in Taurus, which is going to square the sun in Leo. And it's going to activate this grand fixed cross coming into this weekend, which is another major battle in the universe, including with covering the understanding of this Mars retrograde square Uranus, which is, battles that just don't have solutions. It's like, not only is this a smooth road right now, this is extremely turbulent energy. It doesn't mean we are crashing, though. I think that the one thing that I can tell everybody as a positive through all this turbulent energy is it's not like it's a crash. It's not like you're gonna, go through the most craziest, worst energy ever. There is light at every problem in our lives. We're lucky. I know that might sound crazy to say this, but we literally are lucky. We're lucky that the sun is in Leo. We're lucky because this is the most dignified spot. This is where the sun, the most powerful aspect, is at home. And I know it's hard, but finding love, compassion, finding a way to laugh at yourself through crazy, weird situations really is the medicine or the antidote to fixing a lot of the things right now, because there really is no true answer to any problem right now. Mercury's retrograde, so solutions are not easy to be found. Mars is retrograde. It's hard to exactly pinpoint where to go to fix something. It's squaring Uranus, which has to deal with solutions to crazy and wild problems, which it's in its sign of fall position, which means it's not strong at all here. It's about to go retrograde. The planet Venus for most of this week is in its sign of the fall, right? Virgo, where it doesn't like to be. I mean, everywhere when you look around, you're just kind of like, as an astrologer, like, where's the break? Where's some sort of break? And I'm not trying to put this as a Debbie Downer, you know what I mean? I'm trying to show people that these are extreme times, and the answers that you're looking for in your life at this moment are not going to be clear. They're slowly going to present themselves, step by step by step, not when you instant gratificationally want it, if that's even a way to say it. Your instant gratification is at extreme high levels right now. Mars is retrograde on the South Node in Aquarius, trying to figure out how to solve all these major, because when Mars makes an extreme square to a planet like Uranus, which is an extreme planet of upheaval and, you know, trying to find the answers in the most craziest places, or hoping that some crazy outer world alien or some scientist or somebody with crazy knowledge that you don't have, because remember that Uranus is knowledge that you don't have, that, you know, some other outside form finds, can't deliver it to you. Whether that's a doctor or a teacher or even your lover trying to give you an answer right now, like, it's all throwing it in your own ball court. You know what I mean? Like, where you're the one who has to find a way to make the three-point shot. You're the one who has to try and find a way to be happy and figure this all out in kind of a weird kind of self-courage alone state. Venus and Virgo is just trying to keep everything together. So of course we can go through massive amounts of stress right now. When Venus is the planet, is our sensuality, it's our relationships, it's our feel-good energy. And in Virgo, the way to feel good is to just try and find some sort of routine and rhythm and stick to it and keep that routine going, to kind of keep our head straight through the narrows, to keep our head straight, because if we look outside the narrows, holy cow, it's like a, I don't know why my guides want to say, it's like a war out there in the universe right now. And actually, you know, that's what they used to say back in the Roman and the Greek days, was the battle of the gods. And the battle of the gods weren't just some story. They were literally watching the battle of the planets. And as above, so below, you know, if you talk to anybody, your neighbor, a random person on the street, I'm talking to clients, of course, every day in readings. I mean, everybody is in, it's like Las Vegas. It's like a casino. Whenever you're dealing with Uranus and Square and Mars and with this, it's like there's people who are really high up on their luck on one part of their life and then really fucking just destroyed in a weird way and can't find a solution. So, you know, it's kind of hard to keep one area of your life happy that you have a lot of good luck in when you have one area that's just so out there and you can't find a solution. So, sure, when you talk to people, we live in a world and in a society where we want to say, like today when I called up, you know, some company to ask about a bill, how are you today? I'm doing good. You know, it's like kind of like, okay, well, what's really going on? You know, like, but it's a little bit like a casino, right? Uranus is extreme luck in the most random place and then extreme unfortunate kind of lesson learning in another. And so we're all a mixed bag right now. We all have a great high grade energy in some place that we feel like we struck gold, and then in another it feels like it was literally fool's gold, or we're trapped in some crazy situation that we can't figure out. And this week, you know, trying new things to find solutions is extremely fearful. Mars square Uranus, that's fear. Any square is always a fear, a hurdle to jump over. And with a Mars retrograde, it's a very deep internal search for some crazy answers. And you know, Aquarius and especially, you know, Uranus energy is very heaven-like, you know, it's the ruler of the skies. It's like, man, can I find a solution from God, please? Like, can some angel, can something out there, can it please figure this weird situation out in my life that's not making me feel good? Because Mars is our instant gratification, it's our identity, it's our ego, it's our persona, it's who we are, you know, it's how we represent ourselves, and that part of ourself that wants or needs to do action in things to take, you know, to keep things moving forward in life is an extremely stressful position right now. And so the number one thing to take out of all this is relax. I know that might sound like the hardest thing to do, but if you can't do it, take a break. Take your time till a solution presents itself, which of course could feel like, okay, I've got to take action for a solution, but maybe you've got to scan through a lot of crazy different scenarios and you're unsure which one to go through. But trust with the universe is at its highest test and its highest support with Jupiter trining Neptune. I mean, this is where somehow through all this craziness we're not falling into the fears and into the prisons energetically that we think we're going to fall into. Somehow we get to this boundary line that is so scary that we think it's going to fucking all go down, it's not going to go well, and it doesn't. So learning to relax right now is paramount. Paramount. Hey everybody, we are back here on Deep Astrology. Technical difficulties, and how funny, as I was talking about in part one about this show, about just there are no solutions or understandings to problems and you can't freak out. I've been doing this show on this computer for 2 years and I've never had the computer freeze. And then we turn it back on and it's like, you need to update the streaming software. So, you know, it's like sometimes in life, things are just going to pop out of nowhere. And especially with a Mercury retrograde, a Uranus ready to go retrograde, Mars in retrograde squaring Uranus. I mean, talk about technical difficulties or just things not working that usually do. That can go every extreme, right? To your car, to a device, to parts of your body, to parts of your mind, parts of your heart, parts of your soul that just are not functioning the way that they usually do. It's a little bit of a dysfunctional aspect going on right now in the universe. And I think to follow back in where I was at, which I'll be honest with you, I don't remember where I was at because I think we've been off the air for 20 minutes since we were just last on air. But, you know, number one, I think where I was at to not stress yourself out. I mean, yes, the whole world energetically could feel like we have to get a million things done. You know, Venus in Virgo is, hey, I came here to do things. That's why it's in fall position, because it's like, man, you know, so sometimes I want to feel good, right? And then, of course, you got Saturn and Capricorn. I'm not here just to do things. I'm here to actually make something huge happen and make sure we get there. And there's no room for error. There's no room for not showing up. There is no breaks. There is no vacations. You know, that's a lot already there. Those two planets and those earth signs right there can put lots of stress on us. Then just our nervous system alone is going through massive crazy shifts, with Uranus about to retrograde in its stationary position all week, stopping, with Mars squaring it in a retrograde. I mean, it's literally like radical ups and downs in our nervous system, radical ups and downs in so many parts of our life, that the best way to handle this is to laugh through it, realize the trust in the universe. With Jupiter trine Neptune, you're fine. You're going to be okay. And, you know, I don't know if you've seen the astrology this week, but, I mean, the one thing not a lot of people are starting to talk about, or I've been looking everywhere, is Saturn is squaring Chiron. So we talked originally in part one about how, if you're just joining us live, this week, you know, and in the astrology, when you look at it, there are so many things on the list where you go, check that one as a hard thing to go through, check that one, check that one, check that one, check that one, check that one. I mean, it's like literally like the list almost becomes infinite in challenges. But I feel like when these moments arise, I mean, there's definitely something huge after all this. And the number one question I get is, when is this going to all end? Well, in my opinion, I feel when Mars comes out of its retrograde. The reason why is because Mars is going to come back into Capricorn in August, and that's where Mars is exalted. So, you know, when Mars turns back forward in the sign it loves of exaltation, while Saturn's in its spot, and Saturn will be getting ready to come direct right after Mars comes direct, there's definitely the end of August into September, this huge push to finally kind of move things forward. The eclipse energy's over, Mercury's out of retrograde, Mercury comes through Leo and kind of tries to understand where things were not happy, and there seems to be a very little period of September, because you got to remember, in October, Venus will retrograde in its fall position as well. So, because Venus in Scorpio, of course, is the opposite of, or its detriment, technically. It's not in the happiest place either, but it's getting ready for a retrograde. So, you know, these are very unique times, just when you look at the Venus and Mars aspects that we're going through. And even today, I think today we are like, you know, the closest we could be to Mars right now. I mean, so there's a lot of intense push on us in so many ways. And it's, I know it sounds so cliche, but like, try and do something fun. And you know, fun for everybody is different. If you're going through so much crazy energy right now, it's hard to even go outside, well, then play a board game. If you like video games, play a video game. If you like, I don't know, laughing and shooting the shit, go do that. Watch some comedy movie. Watch something that will pull you through this. Because, and especially, you know, Leo, even though I think Pisces and Neptune's more of the music, Leo is the kind of acting out of the music. And I feel, to me, that, you know, music or anything that brings your heart back is so important right now. And love, of course, is a big thing. Of course, you know, relationships that are always started romantically during a Mercury retrograde, a Mars retrograde, and Venus in its fall position usually are not the ones that turn out to be the most amazing, but they can also offer the solace or the kind of bridge to get through all this at the same time. So, you know, there's a lot here to look at that we're about to come into the charts with, but I want everybody to remember that the best way to look at all this, there will be a positive this week. Venus is going to come into its home sign of Libra. There is shining hope at every crazy stop on this crazy turbulent journey we're on. And although, yes, Venus will square Saturn in Capricorn coming up here, it's not like the end of the world. There is going to be relief. So stress, I would say, is the #1 contributing factor to the energy right now on our nervous system. And a lot of it is because we're so obsessed with trying to fix everything right now. And we're trying to go 100 miles an hour to make sure everything's going to happen when we don't have the capacity fully to be there. So that's a stressful situation in itself. You know, it's kind of like running to the bathroom and you got to pee really fucking bad and you're not going to make it. Are you going to go through the stressful situation of peeing in your pants, or like, fuck it, I'm stopping here and I'm peeing right here. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm a human being, right? And I think that this is where so many of our complications are coming through. It's like, it's okay to take a stop if you can't make it to the destination at what you're trying to do, and reevaluate, and then get enough energy or strength or figure out some solution to then, okay, I'll go wash my hands in the bathroom because I probably don't want to go around talking to people or shaking people's hands because I just peed on the side of the street or something, you know what I mean? So like there's little things that I think we realize it's okay that you're not at your best right now. And why does the universe do this? Especially, I think this is bringing up the Saturn square Chiron thing. Is in order for us to get to where we want to go, there's a lot of issues with our strength, with our identity, with our courage, with our ego, that we're really trying to find some sort of way to understand that there's parts of that that are actually not perfect, that are not the easiest parts of ourself. So it's almost like, in order for us to go through this Saturn and Capricorn journey of the next couple years, this square to Chiron and Aries is really about realizing the issues we have in ourselves about how we go about life, how we take on our tasks, how we take on our roles, and realizing the insecurities we do have in that, realizing the problems that lie in our strength that would actually not get us on the journey, and actually having to deal with those issues no matter how fucked up and how shitty and how hard they might be. And a lot of this is internal shit. Remember, because at the end of the day, we are in retrograde city. I mean, literally, if they made a movie called Retrograde City, it would be this week coming up and into next week. So, you know, when you're in retrograde city, it's all of not what's happening outside in your life. It's all personal shit inside. It's all shit inside that you're having issues with confidence, with courage, with getting there, with reaching there. And the other part, and I thought about this last night, I want to say this before I go in the charts. So I pulled into the gas station last night, and my wife wanted some chips. She's a chipaholic. So I'm like, okay, and I had a late night because I've been writing this magazine for Newsweek. So I pull in, and there's 3 dudes, like right there, you know, at the door to come into the gas station, right? And already I know they're going to ask for something. Who knows? So they come walk up to me as I'm pumping gas, because I'm like, oh, I might as well pump gas. They go, hey man, can we get some money? I'm like, what do you want? You know, I'm cool. Like, I'm like, yo, like, what's the deal? You hungry? You want me to get you some food? What's the deal? They're like, I'll be real with you, man. Like, I'm homeless. We're all homeless. Some of us, 2 of us got out of jail. Like, we really just want beer. And I was like, well, at least you're being real with me. I don't want to condone what you got, but I have a couple bucks in my center console, and I pulled it out and I gave it to him. And the guy was so thankful. He was actually a cool dude, but he was also a weird dude. And he tried to like give me these trinkets and shit. I was kind of like, no, I'm cool. I've already been through experiences where people give me a trinket and I feel like fucking their energy all crazy, and I carry it around with me. I'm like, why did I do that? And I throw it out the window out of my car, you know? But anyway, so long story short, I'm like, he then takes my hand and he does a prayer for me, blesses me through Jesus, gives me this huge prayer and blessing, which you kind of wouldn't expect, right? So anyway, get the chips, go outside, and he goes, hey man, you want to drink with us? I'm like, no dude, I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in 3 years. And then he's like, well, I got a bunch of weed. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, this fool has like a bag of weed the size of like, seriously, like fucking hundreds of dollars worth of weed. Like, you have enough money for that? Like, what's the deal? But I'm like, no, I don't smoke weed anymore either. I'm like 6 years or something off that. And he's like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I don't do fucking anything. I don't know what to tell you, bro. And he asked me why. And I said, well, that's kind of how I got this car. You know what I mean? Because he was like, oh, I love your vet, you know, you got a C06 and shit, you know. I'm like, you know, that's probably why I got this car, you know. And he goes, then there was another guy there who was like, yo, hey, how long do you think it will take to walk to Culver and Walnut? That's in Irvine in California, where I grew up. My high school is right on that street. I'm like, I went to high school on that street. I'm like, I don't know. Fucking, I live in Newport Beach. I'm like, on PCH. I'm like, I don't know, 15 minutes of green lights. You'd probably get there. Maybe 20 without, you know, maybe half the lights ready. He goes, no, walking. I'm like, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half, if you're at a good pace. And then he goes, hey, can you give me a ride there? I go, nah, dude, I live right here, literally. So anyways, it was cool. He grew up in the area that I grew up in, so we knew some common people. So I sat there and I hung out with him for like 20 minutes, you know. And I left the car and I really got really emotional, because what I realized through this, all these things that are going on right now, people are all in a weird place. And even though the South Node is in Aquarius, and even though Mars is retrograde in Aquarius, it's going to bring you with lots of different people, lots of different experiences with people, whether you like it or not. And I think a lot of it is like, if you can just show up with your heart to whatever the situation is, no matter how angry or no matter how maybe you don't want to engage in certain people, but if you just show up with heart and you just show up with your best self and your heart and your love, you know, you'll see something different than it's perceived at. And you don't have to take it all the way, but at least, you know, show your offering, show your heart. I felt good, and you know, it made me have so much fucking gratitude in my heart to have what I have, to even have a car, to live in a beautiful place, to be able to eat food that day. I'm going in there to get, you know, like things that people take for granted, right? Like just like a snack at 1 in the morning, you know what I mean? Like, we are so lucky, and some of us are not. And so, you know, it's like gratitude though. This guy showed me gratitude for it. And no matter where you're at right now in your life, I think that's extremely important, to help you through things by showing love to each other, no matter where you're at in the circle of life. You know, the only way the circle of life all works is when everybody works together. You know, it's kind of bad when the hyenas go in the corner and, you know, they have their own world. They have to learn to intermingle, but they also can't eat everything. So, you know, there's weird dynamics with you and kind of being in that way, where it's like kind of being your own politician, and like, what kind of people am I going to bring into my world, and how long am I going to go into it, and how weird is that situation and how weird is that situation, you're going to get a lot of that. This lunar eclipse brought that up. Random people that you're going to run into. Some of them good, some of them not necessarily bad, but just a little bit odd. Anyway, let's go into the charts, see what's going on. You know, because I want to see and show you all what's happening in the astrology. So I ran this chart earlier today, 6:02 p.m. And let's take a look at this Mars right now. So Mars, 2 degrees finally, and what's 2 degrees as well? Uranus. So we are in the Mars square Uranus aspect, but it's a very unique one, of course, for the fact that Mars is retrograde, right? In red there. And so it is activating in a very unique way so much weird shit, so many solutions that we're trying to find, especially in Taurus, to feel good. Taurus is about feeling good. Taurus is like when you take a shower and you put on cologne or perfume and you've got your hair done and everything feels really good in life and you're like, I'm ready to go walk out on the town. You know, that's that feeling that comes when you actually deal with Taurus. And the other interesting aspect is Mars is sextiling Chiron. So it's actually kind of amplifying this whole entire situation with Chiron, right? Which is also in retrograde. And already Chiron in Aries is a weird one because it's a Mars-ruled sign dealing with weird identity and instant gratification things that might not be developing the way that you want to. You need to remember with Chiron and Aries, we want life to look a certain way, but it will look altered. It's kind of like if, you know, you were an interior designer and you look at the place and you go, I want it to look like this. And then it totally turns out different, you know, than you wanted it to look. And no matter what you do to try and, you know, make it look a way, it just will never reach the way that you want to look. That's a lot of Chiron Aries stuff. And so Mars in retrograde to Chiron in Aries retrograde is very unique because it's doubling down the feeling that we can't get our life in the direction exactly the way that we want to look, although the whole secret or through the eye of this is that we actually are, it's just got, you know, different look to it, but it's still the same shit, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, you know, this couch, for example. You want a couch, you wanted it to maybe look modern, maybe it's not exactly the look you exactly wanted for, but at the end of the day, you do have a couch, it is modern, and it is working, and it's there. So, you know, there's some weird aspect to all this. And this frustration, because when you look at this Mars retrograde, it's on the South Node, that's already an extremely frustrating situation, right? Like super frustrating. And then it's in deep square with Uranus, which is stationing this week, right? So, you know, when you have a station aspect, it's already kind of, Uranus is like ready to, you know, short out, right? Like the fuse is ready to pop. And in the sign that's about feeling good, let's just take the basics of Taurus, because I'm at the place where, sure, we could talk about money, we could talk about self-worth, we could talk about all these things. But at the end of the day, this is really just about feeling good. And when you look at what is the ruler of Taurus is Venus, look at Venus, 23 degrees, okay? And it's been in opposition to the moon, which is in Pisces, where Venus is usually exalted. So, you know, it's like not feeling good. The best way I could describe it is like just not fully feeling alive, or situations that you think are going to be great, kind of not having that extra zing that you might want. And so the other thing is, look at this Saturn at 3 degrees as we start this week, as it's starting its square, of course, to Chiron. Because remember, Saturn's still in retrograde and Chiron is, but that's a big square that's going on. And this is a lot of like the issues in ourself that we're realizing aren't allowing us to get where we really want to go long term in our life, which could be a little bit difficult and a little bit hard. So remember that. So let's look at the next chart, which I have for Wednesday, August 1st. Now, the reason why I brought up this chart is because, one, the moon's going to come into Aries, which I think is going to help out a lot with the energy lately, because we do have the sun in Leo, but this moon in Aries is going to come over Chiron. And so as that moon comes over Chiron, it's also going to be squaring Saturn and being amplified by the Mars retrograde, which is going to be exactly squaring Uranus. This is very complicated, okay? Wednesday's a complicated day. Moon and Chiron is usually an emotional blow to some sort of situation in your life that you need to find some emotional courage to deal with. Also learning how to take care of your own self, which is sometimes not easy, especially when maybe we want some outside source to come or we want somebody else to help us. This is definitely us kind of facing our own battles alone. There's other people there, but it's not much they can do in a weird way. And the moon squaring Saturn is definitely confronting, man, I have all these things on my plate I need to get done, and I have to get them done. So we try to run to the races to get them done through this whole moon in Aries, through Wednesday and Thursday. And I think we're going to be met with a lot of, slippage or, and that's why I'm preparing people to just be okay if it can't get all done. There's so much that's coming together with this Jupiter tri-Neptune that keeps getting closer and closer in aspect. Now we're only within 2 degrees. So, like the universe has a plan. It's going to deliver it. But personally, it doesn't feel like it at the moment because we're dealing with massive personal planets that are not working well together or having some weird situations. Now, the moon in Aries does sextile Mars retrograde, so if you do have the confidence to deal with taking care of yourself and realizing that some of the solutions might be weird and not trying to push too far forward, but kind of retreat back and realize you're readjusting your life so you can catapult forward for the, especially in that September time, you'll be much better through this all. But I'm preparing people because I think Wednesday is definitely an extreme day, and I definitely think it's one of those things that you're going to want to pay attention to intensely. Friday. Now, the reason why Friday is going to be a big deal is the moon's going to enter into Taurus and activate this big square to the sun in Leo, right? So we're going to have a sun, Leo, moon, Taurus. We're going to basically have a David Palmer day. I was born with this aspect, but in different places, of course. But this moon in Taurus is going to activate the Uranus Mars retrograde square at 2 degrees still. But with the moon on Uranus and Taurus, I think what it's going to do is go, okay, I don't have solutions, but that doesn't mean I can't still feel good. So I think coming into this weekend is going to be like, we've got to find a way to feel good even in crazy circumstances. And maybe you need to do some weird things in order to feel good. Like maybe you need to hit yourself on the arm, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Or maybe you need to splash water on your face. I don't know. Whatever the weirdest shit is to make you feel good, do it, because it'll probably help you. But don't crash. I mean, you got to remember that this week there's a little bit of a, I guess you could say, fear as an astrologer to present to people that Mars squares Uranus is definitely accident prone. at its highest extremes, not paying attention, pushing the gas too hard in your life, doing too much, you know. So it's like, don't get to feel good. Don't try and hammer it down too hard, especially on Friday. And that's also activating this cross, which I'm going to show you on Saturday. So Saturday's the big grand cross. It's a fixed cross, okay? Moon in Taurus, squaring the sun in Leo. What are we missing in our life that we don't have that is not making us happy? This is going to bring up some deep things about happiness and feeling good and what those issues are. And it's going to oppose Jupiter. And now we're going to have this big T-square with the sun, the moon, and Jupiter. And you can include Mars in Aquarius right there if you really want to. So you get this big cross. Now, fixed crosses definitely are extreme feel-good energies or extreme, you know, upset. I'm not getting what I want in my life. I feel like it's just not right. The moon opposed Jupiter is either too excited about a situation. So this weekend you might come into Saturday going, oh yeah, it's going to be great. And then maybe it's really not, you know, like it kind of exposes itself. You know, like moon opposed Jupiter are people who jump emotionally into these grand illusions of yes, and then, oh no, it's not really that way. So there's a thing to be careful about with a lot of that energy this weekend. And the other interesting thing to me is this Venus opposed the midpoint of Neptune and Chiron. So let's look at this. So we've got 15 degrees of Neptune, we got 2 degrees of Chiron. So of course there's 29 degrees in a sign, we add 2, that's 31, but you know, so what we do is we do 15, 14 and 2, I've been really slow today by the way, so 17 degrees, right? 17 divided by 2 is about 8.5, right? So if you put 8.5 degrees off of the 15, okay, you're going to get to about 23.5 of, actually with the, you know, 24 degrees Pisces, okay? That's kind of the in-between of these two, all right? And if you notice, Venus has been in opposition to this for the whole week. And so there's some really weird feelings about feeling good and not feeling like you understand how it's going to go. Some feelings of pain that you're not getting what you want, the way that you want it to this week. That's why I'm saying this whole chart is very, very extreme. It is not simple shit at all. It is not at all. And the sun is still in a semi-square with Venus. That's a 45-degree angle. Venus is starting its semi-square to Jupiter. That's not a good angle. Venus is in, so, I mean, there's so much here. I could go on for hours. Venus is not really happy right now. And when you don't have Venus happy, and you have the moon in Taurus, which is the ruler of Venus, I'm just going to be honest with you. I think the biggest lesson of this whole week is through not feeling good, finding a way to feel good. I know that a lot of people might not want to hear that, especially with Mercury retrograde, which is then, and if we look at the chart real quick, look at this. Mercury quincunx Pluto. Dark thoughts, dark feelings we got to let go of. So, you know, Saturday's probably the craziest day of the week. I know that Mars square Uranus might be crazy. Wednesday's pretty extreme. The whole week's extreme, but it kind of peaks out on this Saturday because if you if you take a look at, you know, Sunday, the moon's in Taurus. It's not really affecting much. Venus is in trine to the moon, so it finally starts to feel a little bit better. And I think that we do find some solutions about what's been going on by then. And then if we look to Monday, this is when Venus enters into Libra. Comes out of Virgo. Mercury, of course, this weekend is also going to be retrograding at the spot of where the solar eclipse is going to be on the next week. Okay? So a lot of the energy this weekend is going to be dealing with you're going to get a little glimpse of what this solar eclipse is about in your life coming up. Plus the moon comes into Gemini and kind of lightens the load with the sun in Leo. So Sunday, Monday, definitely there's going to be a lot more relief and not so much stress. And we are getting ready for the eclipse and the dark cycle that starts to come as well. So you can make it through this week. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Find something to do that's fun. Find something to do that you enjoy. Find a way to relax if it all can't get done. And let go of so much of that extreme pressure that you're putting on yourself. Because if you just continue to put more and more pressure on yourself this week and push too hard, man, you are going to not like the places the universe will take you. It'll feel like you are being taken on a wild fucking roller coaster, on a spaceship to a place that you've never wanted to go, you know, on a train to freaking the wrong destination, or taking a plane to the wrong place. I know a lot of people have been asking me about traveling during this time with a Mercury retrograde and a Mars retrograde. I mean, definitely some crazy travel stuff this week, especially with Mars retrograde squaring Uranus. So be extra prepared, be extra cautious traveling. I always say, put your hand on the plane before you go on it and feel it. If it doesn't feel right on a week like this, my advice is don't go. Like, I very rarely will say that, like astrologically backing it. Sure, as a psychic, I'll always feel the plane, but I've never ever touched a plane and went, no, this didn't feel good. But this week, there could be some gnarly accident this week, you know, whether it's a train or we are dealing with Aquarius, so it could be some sort of, you know, like some secret military plane that goes down or something that they're building right now. Could be, you know, some crazy hybrid car that explodes, that they're, you know, some battery that blows up. Like, oh, you know, this is definitely one of those times, you know, I'm not an advocate of backing out of life, and I'm not staying that this week, but you're going to know moments when, no, I'm not pushing it. This is not going to be good, because you can move yourself into some really zappy waters really fast and some really crazy situations out of nowhere. This is not a time to play with fire. That's an expression meaning not to fuck around with your life, your energy too much. Like, know the boundaries, know what you're dealing with, have some backup with it all, like get lots of knowledge, have some support. Like, don't just start fucking with your life right now in crazy ways and pushing the limits and doing things that you know are not going to elevate you, because the universe is got some smackdown this week. And especially coming out of this eclipse, this week is definitely a frazzled kind of mess. That eclipse was frazzled. And you're going to have to take a moment and just realize that when things get that frazzled and that defragged and that scattered, you know, no matter how much you try and pick up all the pieces, it's like having 50,000 wine glasses just with 50,000 bottles of wine that go it's a mess. And then of course it's like, I need to clean it up. It's a little like OCD. Like being OCD, right? It's like, I got to get this all done now. I need to do this, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, like when they demolish a Vegas casino, like, there's not guys the second it's demolished running out there and some owner yelling, I want it all picked up by tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to take some time. This goes with your projects. It's going to take some time. These are big things we're all building in our life. And this is, I think, at the end of the day, after all that I see, what is the deepest layer that I see out of all this? Is in order for us to succeed and build big things in our life, we are learning the art of deep patience more than ever. We are learning the art to know our structure by making sure we really are sitting there and having the structure and sitting and looking at it and knowing it up, left, down. This is about knowing how to make decisions in your life for what you want and what you don't want by really looking at it from a lot of angles. And if it's not good for you and it doesn't make you feel good, there's a huge sign there. And it might take a long time to fix that, is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be like, I don't feel good on this. It's like an alcoholic who realizes at this moment, I'm an alcoholic. And then they go, I'm going to quit cold turkey. And then they go into withdrawal and have a, you know, and they die. Because, you know, some, you know, like there's certain things in life that like take time to deal with. This is not the time where you just fucking hammer down and say, fuck you, I'm done. And pull out crazy and I'm sick of this. You can feel that emotionally, but the action of taking it is being careful about how you take it. It might take some time. Uranus is in Taurus. It might take time. It might take patience. It might take steps. It might take asking others. It might take help. It might take a lot of different angles to get to a long-term resolution to what you want to end. So definitely take your time through this and don't just start making crazy actions towards radical things out of nowhere and start just being a fucking crazy person. Especially it's Mercury retrograde. You got to watch what you're saying. You know? It blows my mind. In the astrology community, there's all this like battles happening again of who said this and who said that. And I'm just laughing because it's not condoning anything positive at all. And if you're going to open your mouth right now with this Mercury retrograde in Leo, the lesson of a Mercury retrograde in Leo is to communicate your heart's love. And a true king and a true queen and a true essence of love doesn't criticize, but allows those people to be who they are. And that's how they are. And that's how it is. And move on with your life in the way that you want to go. And I think that that's the hardest part on more of the reality stage of life, is we're at a really interesting point to where people want to revolt, people want to go crazy, people want to do all this crazy shit because they think this person did that and that person did this and blah, blah. That's just the expression of somebody who is not happy with themselves. So of course, take it out. Take it out on the company that, you know, didn't make the computer right. Take it out on the company that didn't do this. Take it out on the person who said that you don't agree with. take it out on this, take it out on that, take it, you know, it's like, you're not going to find any positive solutions in this. You're just going to create yourself into some really crazy, weird places, and you're going to feel more alone than ever. Criticizing, putting people down, assumptions. This is a heavy aspect of massive assumptions about people or circumstances that have no answers. And so don't get caught up into being an assumer, because at the end of the day, we all know what assumptions are. They're assholes, because the first 3 letters is ass. And when you assume something that you don't know, and you become this crazy looking out for issues, this is South Node Aquarian, trying to find answers. It's like trying to find the answers of Area 51. Sorry, there is no clear answer. That's Aquarius. Like, some higher up person knows, but you're going to have to climb that ladder and get to that space to get the answer. If you expect the higher up to just bring down the information to you, ain't going to happen with Uranus that way. Uranus is levels. It's an elevator up to the heavens. So you have to rise to that level to get that information. But if you're trying to get information right now on things that you hate, or people that you don't like, or criticisms, or revolting, or all this stuff, and you're not at the level at where they're at anyway, you're pushing yourself lower because you're trying to get those answers by stooping to a lower vibration. Do you really think those are true? Like, it's just kind of like throwing shit out there because you're not dealing with whatever frustrations you're dealing with in your life. And you know, that's not easy, but at the end of the day, we all have to find a way to be positive through this week. And in between eclipses is always the biggest test for that. Now, tomorrow I'm doing my webinar, August 2018. Oh boy, there's a big eclipse coming I just showed you. August is a 2-part month, okay? It's got kind of the craziest aspect showing up, and at the same time, there's some relief near the end of the month. But it's also about, you know, deciding what you really want in your heart, what side. There's so many sides. Like, what is your needs? What are your wants? Like, this is bringing up it a lot. We're going to go through it tomorrow. So if you want to join me, I still kept it at $10 today. I did the early bird special all the way. So this is the last day I'm doing it, though. Like, tomorrow it'll be at its normal price. So I'd get on it now. You know, in the morning when I get to the office, I'm putting it back to its normal price. And don't worry if you can't make the webinar. As long as you buy it, you will be sent it via email. It automatically will send you once I upload it to my server. So it automatically will kick it out to you. So check it out, inclusiveastrology.com. And if you want to watch my videos every day, go to futurelife.tv and watch my daily horoscopes. Watch all the tarot things I do. Watch what I pull every day. And I want to say this too. People are starting, I just put it out last night, and you're going to start seeing more and more of my tour video clips. My tour videos are going to be coming out in about a week, and they're all going to be on Future Life. So it's going to be where you buy them on Future Life. So it doesn't mean, you know, oh, I don't have Future Life, so I can't get them. What it means is, if you have Future Life, you can buy them, but at the same time, if you don't have Future Life, you can get the 7-day free trial and buy them and then cancel. So, you know, I'm making it exclusive for Future Life because I'm moving so much of my astrology content onto this network. And all that content cost me tens of thousands of dollars to do that tour, to get that information out there. So, you know, that's why I'm selling those videos, but they are hours long about what's happening in the next, I mean, we're talking about stuff that's going to be happening all through after this eclipse. Love and relationships is going to be one video. The future of astrology, which I talk about kind of alien stuff in there. The future of business and money, where that's going with this next couple months and into 2019. The future of politics and government, that's a huge one that I did in DC. That one's coming out too. And then in Nashville, we did the future of where the home and the family is and where the spiritual community is going to find its home. Where is that going to be? What's that going to look like? And including in ourselves, how are we going to take care of ourselves through this craziness that's coming? If you think this is crazy, this is the warm-up for 2019. It's just different, but man, it's intense. And then the last one is the future, and it was in Dallas, is the future of the future. What does the whole future look like? I go all the way into all the Aquarian age stuff, the Jupiter, Saturn, all the stuff that's coming up in Aquarius, what it looks like. They're awesome videos. I will announce them when they're live on futurelife.tv and show you where you can get the links. If you're not part of Future Life, it's super simple. You just start a free trial. You go in there, you buy them, you watch them, and you cancel after 7 days if you don't want to be part of Future Life. So it's a way for me to also show people what's going on in Future Life, because there's awesome people on there every day, awesome readings, and it's only $5.99 a month. I mean, so, and especially with what's going on with Gaia TV right now and the craziness I heard from that lately. And on top of that, Gaia TV doesn't offer daily videos. They don't offer like in your face what's happening now. So check it out, futurelife.tv. Anyway, thanks for all your support. Truly appreciate it. Can't wait to see you on tomorrow's webinar, and I'll see you then.